January 10th, 2013, newly acclaimed development studio CD Projekt Red announced a new IP acquisition. Famed for the Witcher series of games, this new IP would take them out of the fantasy world and into a dark, futuristic one, based wholly in Mike Pondsmith's Cyberpunk universe. This trailer would kickstart a frantic hype train that would snowball for years to come. Gamers worldwide were excited to see what this team would do with a gritty cyberpunk setting, and CD Projekt Red would only tell us that the game was coming when it was ready. For years, fans chomped at the bit to get the next bit of info on this game. What would the mechanics be? How would they translate into a new world? What about the story? We were patient, but hungry. E3 2018, we get our next big taste. The trailer, built from in-game footage, showed this world to be just as brutal as that of The Witcher, but also more vain. Violence and brutality mixed with glamour and elegance gave us a taste of what to expect from the gameplay, and the story was built to be that of a big dreamer in a city full of them. 2019, the biggest trailer yet. Not only did we get to see actual gameplay, but we got the biggest story hint yet. Johnny Silverhand, played by Keanu Reeves. Any A-lister of Keanu's caliber is sure to draw more attention to a project, even if they aren't as innately charming as he is.
You're breathtaking!
And if Keanu wasn't enough, and you knew the cyberpunk lore, what was Johnny Silverhand doing in the year 2077? We would only have to wait until April 16th, 2020 to find out. Over 6 years in, hype was at an all-time high. Then the delays. 3 delay announcements pushed the release to December of 2020, and finally we had it. And then...
You suck!
So, yeah, it got a lot of flack. Most of it rightfully so. Some, I say, less deservedly. Now, with a launch this rough, it seems to me the studio should have dug into the prime question it asks its main character and asks us. Blaze of Glory, or The Quiet Life? So let's break that down a little, shall we? Obviously, any game development studio, especially releasing a major AAA title, wants to make the biggest splash they can. Look at the marketing. Obviously, CD Projekt Red wanted nothing more than to leave an indelible mark on the gaming industry. They wanted this release to be the biggest blaze it could have been, igniting a new franchise passion into the hearts of gamers worldwide. A quiet release was surely not the approach here. But what can we take away from what I feel is one of the most important questions the game has to ask its players? Despite roughly 8 years of development, this game felt rushed, and had, putting it nicely, a choppy release. The game being more than just Bethesda-level glitchy on PC to outright unplayable on console, those complaints were completely valid, and worthy of recognition. A development time of roughly 8 years, multiple delays, and that's what was delivered? For those on console, I don't blame you at all for the launch hate, and for those on PC, well, I mean, it functioned well for me. I had some of what I affectionately refer to as open world glitch. This sort of game is massive, and there are always going to be a few things that slip through the cracks. I'm no critic, at least not professionally, but I think it's fair to say that at release it was a controversial game. I could get into the lies, the drama, the faults, and who's to blame. But really at this point, 4 years after release, I know others have done it better. Check out Frankly Gaming's Gamers Fell for a Lie, a defense of Cyberpunk 2077. Or Hello Future Me's You're Wrong About Cyberpunk 2077. You can get some fantastic takes on just that. If I'm leaving that to the others, then why am I making this video? It's because I loved my time with Cyberpunk 2077. I'm still spending time with it, and it's not just because of Phantom Liberty or making this video. By the way, if you haven't played Phantom Liberty yet, play it. You owe it to yourself. If you played Cyberpunk at all, it is brilliant. It is one to just pause this, play it, or play it after. Either way, it's a game I thoroughly enjoyed from my first day with it. I'll be honest, I started probably after the first couple of hotfixes came out, not the first patch. It may have impacted things, but I was still pretty early. And my V, oof, I loved her. As a street kid looking to make her mark on the unforgiving Night City, I connected with her very quickly. She meets this beast of a man named Jackie Wells, and I fell for him too. Normally, I'm not one for big dudes in gaming. They just don't resonate with me for some reason. Like, no shade if they pique your interest. Art is subjective. To me, though, they're typically kind of meh. But Jackie is a huge exception. Charming, intimidating, and voiced to perfection. As he and V became found family, I felt that. V and Jackie become mercs, in time building notoriety, and now they've caught the eye of a well-respected fixer, Dexter Deshawn. He wants to hire us, but only knows our partners. If V's getting chosen, he needs to know her. To know us. Hop in his car, and Dexter poses what, in retrospect, is the most important question in the game to me. The question that shapes the whole narrative.
One more thing, Miss V. Quiet life or blaze of glory? Later now.
This sounds hyperbolic, but really I feel like no other question, no quest, no other character embodies V's narrative so completely from here on out. Now, try and put yourself in the mindset of V here. You have done some daring stuff with Jackie, got a glimpse of the manic highs and lows of the life of a merc. You know that to be a legend in Night City, you must make your mark in a big way. Hell, some say that to really be a legend, you gotta go out in a big way. A blaze of glory. The quiet life, well, you see that playing out on the street every time you're out there. Vendors, civilians, all walking around, living their life set to a monotonous routine, getting by on whatever they can scrounge up. There are some examples, though, of a nice quiet life around V. But is that enough? V was brought to this point on ambition. She's invited into Deshawn's car thanks to the challenges that she and Jackie have faced and overcome. She's looking at this job for one simple thing. Street kid to Night City legend. She just as easily could have been a corpo driven for a better office or a nomad looking to get some more money to finance her new life. But no matter the reason, clearly they weren't looking for a simple, quiet life. 9 to 5, daily routine, no action. What would be the point? So what choice is there other than the blaze of glory? Not to mention, Deshawn is still feeling them out. Don't want to send the wrong message here. He's going to take V to the next level, right? she will be a Night City legend, but not without making a hell of a life for herself. And that right there, that's why this question is so important to me. You see, I think V is missing one thing. If getting set up with Deshawn is the next step to make her rich beyond her dreams, then what does going out in a blaze of glory actually mean? If you want to be set for life, wanting for nothing, it sounds a lot more like the end goal is a quiet life. Is V willing to go through hell and back to get there? Absolutely. From what I had experienced thus far, she'd be a legend for her wealth, influence, and maybe even a little fear at the mention of her name. It's not really going down in a blaze of glory, is it? V may end that way. They may even be okay with that possibility, but in my mind, what they're working for is the quiet life. A blaze of glory tends to mean your finale, but the quiet life is achieved before the end. Just as important, the quiet life looks to me like this: finding love and support from someone else, enjoying life with your found or actual family, enjoying the spoils of your efforts. Blaze of glory, though, well, to me, that looks like So Deshawn gives you this unfair question, even tilting the scales with his phrasing. This isn't two sides of the same coin. This is comparing apples to leopards. But what Deshawn is asking is whether or not you have ambition, I feel. I mean, not for what that ambition is for, but if you have any at all. I really feel like Deshawn is asking if you're cool going against the grain in a big way, or if you are just happy living a basic life, making no waves. But there's two issues with this. The first is that in most video games, there is a defined finishing point, and any player would rightfully expect an explosive finale. Mario hits the axe, take out Bowser. Cloud and Co. stop Geneva, Sephiroth, and Meteor. Geralt and Ciri stop the White Frost. These are all glorious ends to the tales we're taking in. But what happens after that? It's a little hard to take the action and slow it down to show the hero reaping the rewards of their efforts, as they are all interactively tame in comparison. Geralt, maybe not the best example, has a chance to live quietly with his love interest in a nice villa. Blood and Wine was great. But, yeah, you get what I mean. Cloud and the crew live as the planet heals. And Mario and Peach, well, they enjoy some nice cake, I guess. I mean, it's not exactly exciting in terms of gameplay, is my point. It's a fitting end, to be sure, but they aren't necessarily what will last in the minds of players. Video games at their core are meant to display ambition, effort, and achievement, the journey being the real fascination. So the Deshawn style of the quiet life is by default not really the intent. I'll concede there are multiple interpretations of the core question here. Blaze of Glory could just mean, do you want to leave an impression on the world, or it could mean you will die in a fantastic, noteworthy way. Quiet life could be living a life of contentment, or a monotonous, droning existence without meaning. But even in a peaceful game like Stardew Valley, you still are pushing to make an impact in the player character's life, so really, to me, Blaze of Glory is a default choice in gaming. So to be asked that in the prologue of a game, it's a bit unfair, right? The other issue here is that of the setting itself. The Blaze of Glory versus Quiet Life question has been examined in many ways before. In some ways, it is a core focus of different philosophical ethos. Stoics might argue that either option is worthless without virtue being the driving force. Most religions push heavy in either direction, in service to the god or gods at their core. A core tenet of existentialism is existence precedes essence, so it could be argued that leading a fulfilling life is a core to a good life. Thus, a blaze of glory finale might be one of the most foolish things a person could do. Capitalists might argue that if you aren't pushing to a blaze of glory at all times, then you might be worth less. All this to say that humans have been debating what makes life worthwhile for basically as long as we have existed. The world and our communal social awareness at different eras have clearly helped shape the ethos we live by. Thus, what our response to what a good, worthwhile life is. Night City is capitalism to an extreme, and entrenched its social classes so heavily that your circumstances at birth basically decide your life. It still promises the great dream that by pulling up your bootstraps hard enough, it could bring you the glory that you see from the social elite. To those who look to achieve beyond their means, the quiet life has been sold as a silent death of its own kind. A monotonous, daily routine on repeat for the rest of your life. Fingers crossed the local gang goons or NCPD don't cut that life too short. If you are really lucky, you may even be able to literally give yourself to one of the corps in the hope that they can bring you up a tax bracket or two. Watch the closer looks, the hidden genius of Cyberpunk 2077, How to Do Exposition, for a brilliant take on just that idea. So, if you're less determined but you truly want something more, well, you're gonna have to risk life and limb to get there. Join one of those local gangs or become a merc. Hell, it may be your only option to make a basic living. Not without risk, of course. You see, in Night City, the cost of living is high, but life is damn cheap. In the time from starting the game to getting into Dexter's car, it's likely your V has taken more than a few lives, but it's easy to justify those. The first mission you take with Jackie. You're sent out to rescue a woman by the name of Sandra Dorset, who's been taken by a local gang. Her personal tracker disabled, you find her on death's door, prepped for organ harvest. The goons who took her, it's easy to justify taking them out. It's damn near moral. But they're just one small sect of a larger gang, and they aren't the only gang out there committing atrocities. Sometimes it's for money, sometimes it's just for fun. These people are monsters. And really, the NCPD, more accurately, MaxTag, the juiced up SWAT of Night City, could likely take care of these brutal freaks. They don't. But you can. So with life so clearly presented as expendable to so many in this world, it makes sense that someone could view Blaze of Glory or Quiet Life as a duality of humankind. It makes even more sense that V, up to this point, doesn't see that they are answers to two different questions. Once again, the scales are heavily tipped in Blaze of Glory's favor. Freshly vetted, we got the gig. Hell yeah. V's got her chance at glory. Jackie is looking at one major score so he and his girl Miss can ride off into the sunset. Now, I know I said that V living the merc life wouldn't get the strangeness of the core question, but it feels like Jackie does. At least, kind of. You see, Jackie is looking to settle down, saving so much of his earnings to do so, even living out of a garage. You don't get it, but you're missing a few things that Jackie is saving for. He's got Mama Wells, he has Misty, and he has you. He ditched his Gangoon life in the Valentinos because he found a purpose, and it's a community around him. Sure, Jackie is your best chum, and Mama Wells has all but taken you in, but she's not really your family. And Jackie is a big part of how you got into the merc life, which is the only life you have now. Jackie is working toward a tangible future. You are working to an abstract dream of being a legend. Two sides of the same Merc coin, but with two differing ideologies. So you take the gig, collect some secret tech from Arasaka's top brass, no easy feat given they are one of, if not the biggest corp in the world, but sadly it goes pretty sideways. You report back to Deshaun about everything that's gone wrong. Not only did you lose Jackie and T-Bug, but now you have the tech you were meant to bring back fused into you. Makes it all but worthless to your lauded fixer, so what's his fix?
Seems I've chosen the quiet life after all. No blaze of glory for me.
Game over. Useless to your fixer. Botched heist. Friend gone. Dreams vanished. Like a puff of smoke. Until... you come back and are brought to Vic's clinic, a ripper you can trust. I mean, hell, he's supported you for ages now. He fills you in after you recover, telling you the chip in your brain, it's got something strange on it. And it's taking over your mind. If you believe we have souls, yours is slowly being overtaken by what's on that chip. So while you're recovering, you discover the entity that's trying to take control is Johnny Silverhand, a legitimate Night City legend who had his blaze of glory 50 years ago in a siege on Arasaka Tower. Thus begins your fight to live. To find a way to take your life back from Johnny, who has made it clear that he doesn't care about you. He wants to live again. Throughout the game, you and Johnny go through a lot and come to understand one another. You get why Johnny wants a new shot at life, as Arasaka still stands as the pinnacle of all that Johnny sees as wrong with the world, and really should seem that way to you as well. He may have been famed as a rocker boy in life, but the man suffered while serving in the Corpo Wars. He knows firsthand how twisted life is under the rule of these corporations. Most are willing to play along. What can the average human do against such megaliths? But Johnny, he's not average. He could be the savior of humankind from our corpo overlords, but while you see that he feels that way, you on the other hand realize that for him to have this shot, it would be through your sacrifice. Your life forfeit to him, either fully or with him riding shotgun in your head. But while this struggle builds, your life carries on. You search for a cure, and through this search you meet so many other people. People who can help you find a cure, and who you find you can help as well. This is where I find the big question really takes hold, where you finally realize what Jackie knew all along. You can fight for survival, but without a real goal for the future, what does survival mean? Equally important, do you want the quiet life at the end, or do you just want a blaze of glory? Through main story and side quests, the game forces you to really question what it is that you feel is a right life path. Make your mark, leaving a flame so bright that all of Night City can't look away, or find a way to quietly survive, living on to an unknown end. Now, no matter the choice, the game makes you question why you feel that way through its story. So I think we should focus on some of the best examples I find the game has to offer. Your companions: Judy, Panam, River, and Carrie. Let's start with Carrie rocker boy of fame and bandmate to the infamous Johnny Silverhand. And now, someone on the brink of collapse. He's been in a strange limbo since Johnny attacked Arasaka Tower. He went on to achieve great fame and wealth, but always felt like he was in the shadow of Johnny, never really living up to the rep that he felt he should have. Johnny asks you to pay him a visit. You share your story, and Carrie gets a shot at a new close to that chapter of his life, shedding these chains that have been dragging him for 5 decades. Now with you, he wants to send some clear messages to the world that he hasn't lost his edge. At first, it's simple. One last surprise show from Samurai. Recruit the remaining members, deal with some tensions there, then join him on stage for the last Samurai show ever. An incredible example of CD Projekt Red's ability to dole out rewarding and fun non-combat quests. Now with a new friend and ally, he really wants to bring back that explosive rocker boy edge, literally. He asks you to help him take out the equipment truck for the pop trash icons, Us Cracks. There really couldn't be a bigger rift between the image Carrie wants for himself and the image Us Cracks has. They even stole a song for their own gain. So boom goes the truck, and Carrie gets that youthful high once more. But it's not enough. Now he wants to go take them down live, really give them a piece of his mind. It turns out, they love him, and his music, citing him as an inspiration. Carrie, who never really hated their sound, well, he finds comfort in talking to them. He even learns he is an influence on them, to the point that he decides to release a track with the trio. He wanted to send a blazing message, destroying the pop that is rotting the music world he planted his flag in, but found that really things change. And these 3 girls actually have a similar musical spirit to him. Now, the last literal inferno he wants to leave is a fitting one. Carrie asks you to help him destroy his manager's personal yacht, the man who sold Us Cracks his song behind his back. Forget the manager, forget the money. He really wanted to get his musical soul back so he could finally just be who he always wanted to be. His final blaze of glory, letting him live an honest life. Let's move on to Pan Palmer, the nomad whose relationship with her clan is more than a little tense. Saul Bright, the current leader of the Aldecaldos, is looking to work with the corporation Biotechnica to get what the clan needs and provide consistent income. Pan feels that the clan should remain independent and true to their tradition. You meet Pan through a fixer named Rogue who says that if you help Pan she'd owe you a favor in turn. Pan is currently ousted from the Aldecaldos, but by helping her and with a little persuasion, you can convince her to rejoin. Later, she reaches out letting you know that Saul has been kidnapped and asks you to help bring him home. It's a daring plan, but one she knows is right to help the clan out. So you set out with her and a few other members to rescue their leader. Once you break him out, you, Pan and Saul are separated from the rest of the crew by a sandstorm. With no other option, you find some shelter and post up for the night. Saul chastises Pan for taking needless risks, and this really defines the differing ideologies between the two. Pan is comfortable taking drastic risks to benefit the clan, but Saul wants to keep things simple and safe, believing that to be the only way to protect his family. The night isn't all tense, though. Saul recognizes both of your efforts and even shows a playful affection for his clan member. Pan really opens up to you. No longer is V just a merc Pan can call on. V is an ally, and your friendship is truly locked in. Things really come to a head for Pan when she and Saul feud over her plan to steal a Basilisk tank from Militech. This plan is insane, to be sure, but it's a risky play. But should they get the tank, then the Aldecaldos will have the firepower to protect themselves against almost anything. Saul doesn't think the risk is worth it, though. So you can make a choice here. Either help Panam or warn Saul. But should you help her and successfully bring back the Basilisk tank, Saul sees the value in the theft, makes plans to get the clan south past the Noosa border, and also chooses to make Panam co-leader of the clan. He admits that he may have been overly cautious, and that Panam was just trying to help the clan by risking herself. She was simply looking at giving the best and safest life to the family she chose all along. Importantly, they both realize that they are ultimately more alike than either would care to admit. They are people of their word, and their word has always been to be there for those that are important to them, their clan. They have the same goal, a comfortable life for all of the Aldecaldos. Now for River Ward, NCPD detective and quite possibly the most earnestly just person in all of Night City. While not having a romantic partner of his own, he spent a lot of time acting as a protective uncle to his nephews and niece. You work with him to help defend the mayor from a would-be attacker and gain his trust. River is celebrated by the city, earning the Medal of Merit for his defense of Mayor Ryan, but shortly after, Ryan dies to a heart problem. River can't shake the feeling that something's fishy. Despite being told by his partner and superiors to drop the case, he brings you in again to search the site of his death. You see that Ryan died not from a heart problem, but was murdered by a virus-infected brain dance. Basically a 2077 VR, where you not only get to see, but literally experience life as another person, feeling their emotions and physical sensations. You also discover that the reported heart problem was a cover-up that Deputy Mayor Holt ordered River's partner to pass off. River tries to reopen the case, but is suspended from the same force that lauded his efforts earlier in the day. In the face of all this corruption, River is beat down, but still determined to do good. I feel like he realizes that the NCPD isn't there to protect the people, but give that veneer to cover that they are really just there to protect the elite. River later sees a video where the NCPD chase down an infamous kidnapper dubbed Peter Pan and rescue his latest victim. And he notices that the child is wearing the same shoes as his missing nephew. Now, convinced there is a connection there, River asks you for help, as he knows the assigned detective is going to take his time and not take the case seriously. In one of the creepier quests in the game, you discover that secret website that Peter Pan has been using to lure in his victims. You find the farm, where he takes them and straps them into machinery to force feed them and heal them with hormones meant for livestock. It's an idea based in trauma the kidnapper suffered in his youth. Now, if you help River save his nephew and all the other children, River sets out to kill this comatose kidnapper. Gun to the man's head, River then recalls when his parents were murdered and decides to leave the kidnapper alive. He wouldn't become a murderer like the thugs who took his parents. He could have torched the morals that brought him to this life, but knew that if he did, then his nephew's niece and sister will be left struggling even more without him there to help. Never seeking out glory, always preferring de-escalation, River wanted nothing more than to help the community he is from, allowing the citizens, especially his family, to live in peace. Easily, he is the biggest proponent the game has of living a quiet, meaningful life. Lastly, of the romantic companions is Judy Alvarez, my personal favorite. and to me, one of the most consistent and clear examples of the risks of living for a blaze of glory. You see, Judy works as a braindance editor, and while many people are looking for crazy, smut, extreme, or violent experiences in their braindances, Judy got notoriety from providing truly authentic, civil, and yes, still sometimes smutty experiences. She's truly gifted in the art form, and she had been tied to a gang known as the Mox, who she felt could actually make life better for many people in Night City, especially the dolls. You meet her through her best friend Evelyn Parker, who helps you on the failed heist that starts this story. Judy had already been betrayed by her partner Maiko, and thanks to the botched heist, she loses her friend Evelyn as well. With few people left to trust, she turns to you to help achieve something positive from this all, and asks you to join her in talking to Maiko, who works at the club Evelyn worked for as a doll. You find that not only did this club play a role in giving up Evelyn, but it's also started cracking down harder on the rest of the dolls. You hear a plan from some of the other workers, Judy and Maiko herself, to take out the current club manager and put Maiko in to make life better for all the workers. These dolls, who literally have personalities implanted in them, customized to their clients' needs. If you join the plan and help take down the management, Maiko reveals that she only ever wanted the managerial role. She had no altruistic intentions. This betrayal was the final straw that breaks Judy's back. Her actions had the intention of improving the lives of those around her, but these latest moves have led to death and suffering, and the status quo being maintained with little positive to show, if any. Depending on your choices, Judy opens up to you, the sole bright spot through this all. She has you, a friend she can truly trust, a friend who, despite your life or death struggles, has stood by her with little to no personal gain. She then lets you in a little more, sharing a glimpse into her childhood by taking you on a scuba tour through her flooded childhood neighborhood. Now, this is easily my favorite quest in the game, and at no point do you need to attack anyone. There's no violence, just a majestic exploration and discovery of the early life and tragedy of a newfound friend, or in the case of Myvi, a new, earnest romantic interest. Her descent into aggression and anger gave nothing but pain, but alongside V, she has the chance to heal. And all she wants now is to get out of Night City, live her life working on her art, and try to help people through it. No more rage, no more vengeance. She would just seek to inspire others, to escape the viciousness of the world around them, and find a truly positive, meaningful way of living.
'Cause we lost everything.
You know, after all that, it's pretty clear to me what this game is saying. It's that acting in anger or rage, this destroys not just what is around you, but what is inside. By acting out of vengeance rather than justice, by greed, rather than for a tangible goal, the only option you have is to go out in a fiery finale. But if you have a purpose, people around you who enrich your life, then maybe you can get that quiet life after all the trials and struggles. Carrie and Panam live loud. They live for those blaze of glory experiences, whereas River and Judy, they want nothing more than for the world around them to be a more peaceful, quiet life. And until they realize what they really want to live for, until they find their true purpose, impact and inspiration through their art, or the safety and longevity of their clan, family, or community, their actions crumble around them. A life without real purpose is what yields a tragic death, be it in a fiery blaze or passive, meaningless life. But there is one subtle thing I love about these stories, It's that V isn't really the one who saves these people. V isn't even always there to help them find their true center. V is just there for them. Not in directing their actions, but chipping in however they ask. They are the ones gaining these new perspectives. They are learning the lessons. We are just along for the ride as a friend. Learning as they do. Which makes perfect sense, given the inherent turmoil in V's life. V isn't in a position to tell them what the best or ideal course for happiness is. Maybe a bit of counseling, but V isn't even remotely sure what their own best course is yet. But by being there for their friends, Carrie, Panem, River, and Judy come to their own self-actualization, and through that V gains more perspective on their own life, and can use that to help them forge their own path in turn. Find community in others, and you see the importance of perspective. Focusing solely on yourself, preservation at all costs becomes the only obvious goal. Glory or burnout, wait at the end of either of these paths. Your choice and commitment to it are what give you the best shot. Rely on others to guide your path. Can't be too shocked when it takes you somewhere you may not have wanted. This is the best time to bring up Phantom Liberty. The story kicks off when V is contacted by a hacker through the relic in her head. It's something no one else has done. Obviously, this is the work of an insanely talented netrunner. She appears to V as Johnny does, and says to keep V's brain unboiled, only one of them can be active at a time, and Johnny is just sent away. I literally gasped in shock at this. I knew at that moment I was going to listen very carefully to this woman. She asks you to help save her boss, NUSA President Rosalind Myers, from the takedown and assault on their plane by Bargist, a paramilitary organization. Bargist runs Dogtown, this walled-off section of Night City that exists independently. Its leader, Kurt Hansen, a NUSA military defector, has some sort of grudge and wants to kill or capture the head of the country he once served. There's no way V could reasonably get involved, but Songbird offers up salvation through something called a neural matrix. The relic could be extracted, saving V's life. If the action and bombast of the main game was just a bit too tame for you, check this. The action comes fast and hard, but the story isn't lacking for it. You save Myers, but Songbird was lost, likely captured by Bargist. Rosalind wants her back in a bad way, so she deputizes you, giving the option to take the oath of an FIA agent. You team up with Solomon Reed, an FIA sleeper, and a former partner of Somi, and another agent named Alex. Alex joins as well, despite some tensions between her and Reed, and they get Rosalind out of Dogtown. You three play out some spycraft and finally get a chance to find Somi at an extravagant gala being thrown by Kurt Hansen. This gives us another example of something I think CD Projekt Red has done better than most games I've ever played. The visual information given to us in the reveal is staggering. Firstly, this isn't the look of a captive, but a guest. More importantly, she looks very different from what we saw before. We know about cyberpsychosis, the mental illness those who have too many cybernetic implants suffer. But look at her. There is so little left of her organic self, but here she stands, clearly in control. We saw a vision of her before. What the hell are we seeing now? How did this happen, and how is she not going full-on cyber-psycho? They showed us a woman in a dress, loaded with so much tech that she looks more android than human, and in this one visual, they pull so many questions from us, and prep us for the answers to come. We get a bit of her backstory here. Songbird took illegal explorations behind the Black Wall. Think a worldwide firewall that keeps rogue AIs at bay from affecting the world we live in. It's a fool's errand, but done at the behest of her superior Myers. These dives tax Somi so drastically, and heavy cybernetics were needed to keep her going. What did that matter to Myers, though? At this point, we had already learned that 7 years ago, at the close of the Unification War, Myers needed to appease Arasaka with a sacrifice, and Reed was the chosen pawn. Rosalind was the one who tasked Songbird with the job. Trapped in her cage, Somi obliged. Obviously, Reed survived, but is that worse for Song? Living with her betrayal was painful enough, but after all she suffered in the past 7 years, seeing Reed alive and understanding Myers' decision to eliminate him, to hear him say he doesn't blame her because it was part of the job, this had to have hurt just as much as setting him up. It legitimately might be better if he were angry, but no. To him, she had made the right call all along. So being Rosalind's puppet was right to him. It was the only way to be. She tells Reed that she has to play nice with Hansen for now because he knows the truth behind Myers' Blackwall breaches, and if he exposes that, it would create even more chaos for the NUSA. So for the good of their country, they had to work together, steal the neural matrix, and eliminate Hansen, appealing to Reed's patriotism. But V gets a different story. Through the relic, their own encrypted voice chat, Song tells V that she can't trust Reed with all the details. He was beholden to his oath and would never let Somi be free. She confesses that she set Rosalind up, working with Hansen, who had access to the neural matrix. She was going to outplay Hansen, though, and she gets what we need. Rosalind escapes and we will be free. This is a plan, right? Reed, though, complicates things. She asks you to betray Reed and Alex during the heist and help her escape so you both can free yourselves of the death sentence hanging over your heads. So you go into this final heist, and now it's the point of no return. Follow your mission and help Reed and Alex bring Somi back to Noosa Control, or escape with her, and unlock the rogue AI to save yourselves. This is where things got very difficult for me. See, here's how my first run went. Screw Noosa, okay? Rosalind clearly saw Somi as just a tool. She only ever referred to her as Songbird, which I thought was strange. Codename only to me showed just this level of distance between them, and now it was crystal clear why. As someone fighting for a shot at survival myself, how could I send Song back to that? So, we crack the gear to get the AI. Song unleashes a taste of the power that the Blackwall has given her and sends the Bargist base into disarray. We escape and go our separate ways while Song tries to organize the final steps of their plan for salvation. Reed's now on the hunt and we are in his crosshairs. A few days later, Song contacts us. The plan's in motion, but we have to act now. Her contacts need her to get to the moon colony Tycho, where their surgeons would perform the life-saving surgery we both need. She would go first, then she would contact us for our turn. It's a little strange we couldn't go together, but, V isn't too knowledgeable about Black Ops and how they all work, and Song is clearly on death's door. V can wait a little bit. But to get there, though, we need to access a Noosa-controlled spaceport. We go in solo, disguised by special tech we picked up over our time with Reed and Alex, and then sneak Somi in by the rooftop. It's Too easy though, right? Of course the FAA clocked us. So under the guise of stopping a terrorist attack, a Black Ops battalion assault the spaceport to come take us out. Not without a fight though. And after a brutal onslaught, all seems lost. Until Song uses her Blackwall powers once more, with our help. This is a terrifying experience. We not only witness but pull the trigger on these soldiers as this unfathomable power disintegrates them. Their screams of pain fading into a digitized wail. I know that helping Song escape feels like the right thing to do. I believe it's a path to free V from her fate, but if this is a cost, I have chosen poorly. But backing down now would be certain death. I unleash this dragon, so I have to see it through. We hit the final tram before the space shuttle. On the ride, Song is near unconscious in what feels like her final moments. She turns to her memories, mainly her betrayal of Reed 7 years ago. Then she admits she was doing it all again. This time, it's you. The AI should work, but it could only work once, so there was never any salvation for V. So she had played Reed, she had played Myers, and now she had played you. This isn't malice, though. This is self-preservation, desperation to be free of the demands of Myers and the AI beyond the Blackwall. She does feel remorse, but soon it will be over. So we carry her across a bridge, shuttle in sight, and as rain is pouring around us, out steps Reed. He tells us things have gone too far, but he still feels for Song. He can save her, and even offers to get us in touch with the best doctors Noosa has to offer. Song's contacts, they could just be playing on her desperation to take this rogue AI for themselves. Such a power is insanely dangerous. We've seen this firsthand, and especially in the wrong hands. One final choice. Set her down at Reed's feet, or put him down to clear our path. I love full immersion in games, but I'm not sure I've ever experienced it quite like this. I struggled with that choice. I bit my lip, closed my eyes in frustration, and felt like the only thing I could do was have V look up in the sky and let the rain wash over her. V stood like that for a few moments. Reed could have taken a shot, taken V out right there. But regardless of his position, he is always a noble man. I let him take her in. He really wanted to save her, and I hoped he could. A little later, though, Reed leaves the city, called into DC for work. So we get one last meetup with him where he admits to having some conflicting feelings on things. Would he see her again? Why couldn't she trust him? Did he save her, or was it just once again part of the job? I gave up Somi. It almost felt like I was admitting defeat for V as well. Now, by handing her over, especially after the siege of the spaceport, should Song survive, her best fate would be to live out the rest of her life in prison. But I knew that in the end, Rosalind was never going to let her tool, her songbird, escape. Song's suffering was assured, and I had brought her there. Yeah, I haven't gone into the different paths of the other NPCs that much, but I think this is too big not to do so here. So let's rewind a little. We're on that bridge. Rain falls down the upturned face of V. I've said it before. I have unleashed this dragon. I had to see it through. With Reed dead, we load Somi onto the rocket. Away she goes, riding off to salvation. leaving me here with the body of her former mentor. Both of us betrayed, only one of us standing. V is contacted later, getting news of a successful treatment. Somi was saved, and she was free. All it took was countless other deaths, some more profound than others, some more personally impactful. But we had gotten her what she wanted and deserved, her only shot at freedom. It's certainly a more civil end. But how do these endings inform V's story? See, Somi was a very gifted hacker from an early age, and the FIA was her path to becoming something bigger than she had ever dreamed. But the sacrifices she had to make along the way literally ate her soul. Her only purpose in life was to serve the NUSA, and that was twisted into serving Rosalind Myers specifically. There was no life past Rosalind's wants. There was nothing but survival, no personal direction, no personal higher purpose, surviving on what she was given by her superior, literally living a life that was never hers. V made the choice to unleash Somi in an attempt to get her free from the prison she was living through. Though I personally feel like this was more of a scorched earth and blaze of glory approach, her desire for freedom brought her to these choices that we ultimately had to make. And that's why this was so painful a decision for me. Once again, Somi's life was not hers to decide. Now, should I decide in favor of service to the NUSA, betrayed with the only offer of salvation coming from Reed himself, I was sentencing her to that prison once more, removing her autonomy, sentenced to live a subservient life filled with pain and suffering. But if I respect your wishes, I have to take the life of another person we both once called an ally. I have to sacrifice any sense of safety I would ever have again. I would have to continue to fight hard, but she would be free. Our efforts were wrought with death and destruction, but at least she was no longer a pawn. It's a pretty romantic thought, and one that requires a lot of squinting and moral flexibility to feel fully comfortable with, but that's the point, I think. Her freedom comes with this cost. Are you comfortable with that? And before anyone questions it, I am sure that Mr. Blue Eyes is not exactly a trustworthy individual, and Somi would likely be a pawn for him too. But I do just want to focus on what we were presented with. So it was the devil you know or devil you don't here. With Noosa, she was surely trapped to suffer. With Blue Eyes, who can say? But we aren't finished there. There's a whole nother path we can explore, where we trust Reed and the plan from the hop, where we don't steal the neural matrix with Somi, but instead hit her with a quick hack that stuns her, allowing us to take her in like we were supposed to all along. Upload that hack and...
Really expected this to work?
So me. You don't know what you're doing.
Oh, but I do know me. Doing what I have to survive.
What? What?
It's working, V. Icebreak is getting through.
Why? Why are you doing this?
Trying to save So me. Who she is. Blackwall's eaten your mind.
Nothing. You understand nothing. Two-faced.
What?
What the hell's going on?
You killed Alex.
No, V. You did. Her death, all this,
It's on you.
Well, that didn't work. With Alex dead, V barely surviving, we escape Hansen's base and join Reed on the hunt for Song. Amidst the chaos, one bit of subtle exposition rings clear. Somi's voice is corrupted and distorted, likely an audio indicator that the rogue AI is taking over. V and Reed track her to a large tech facility where Song is breaching the Black Wall once again. As V navigates the facility, we get visions of Somi's past. Her becoming trapped by Hansen, FIA surgery augmenting her time with Reed in the FIA. AI around the facility attack V in some incredibly tense moments, but are held back or destroyed by the remaining humanity in Somi. After one vision, we interact with a version of Somi where she tells us the Black Wall is stripping her of her memories, of who she is. She asks us why we turned on her. How could we? More visions come. We see friends, we see a partner, we see the dissolution of that relationship as Song's ambitions of being a hacker legend leave no space for anyone else in her life. We see Reed recruiting her, and she tells us that her mistakes up to this point are too many to atone for. How memories are all we have left when facing our final moments. We reach the core and find Somi connected to this demonic machinery. Weakened, frail, destroyed by the AI inside her, she admits her sins and asks for the only freedom left to her. This path has one final choice for us. Once again, do we respect Song's request, or do we trust Reed? Should we stick to the plan and spare her? She begs for death, saying that to live on would be a worse fate. With Reed, we hand her to Myers, and neither of us hear from her again, but we have those Noosa surgeons available to us, I guess. Should we grant her last request, though? She thanks us. Her final words are to offer us an apology for everything. The last remnants of who she was finally able to rest, leaving nothing behind for any AI or government to abuse. Reed finds us clearly distraught. She was gone, and he was left with one thought. Could he have saved her at all? And God, the obvious message to me is sometimes there is no heroic ride into the sunset. Sometimes our sins are too strong to come back from. For both Reed and Somi, they act purely in sense of service, but to an agency that is only interested in its own prosperity, not those it's meant to serve, not those that serve it. They were placated with service medals and praises of a job well done. Locked into their oaths, their own wants and desires were no longer a consideration. When Reed was deemed more valuable dead than alive, Rosalind made the call and forced Songbird to make it happen. When Somi was forced to breach the Black Wall, she gets slowly consumed by rogue AIs. To Rosalind, this is a risk worth taking, especially if she didn't have to take it herself. Now, from some perspective, an argument can be made that their sacrifices were worth something greater than themselves. And this is a challenging aspect of living a life of service. We can't always see the big picture, can't always know that our efforts are truly for the best. Phantom Liberty puts that into clear perspective. Once again, Cyberpunk 2077 shows us the importance of the companions we allow to shape our lives. Myers views you as another tool. Songbird sees you as a means to her freedom. And Reed, actually, he does try to help V. And in the end can grant some salvation, but at what cost? Literally losing everything about himself that isn't in service to the NUSA. Phantom Liberty also showcases the danger of not questioning the purpose of our actions. Blaze of glory or quiet life be damned. Intent and impact are what matter. The beauty of well thought out companion and side quests are they showcase the world and shape the narrative for you as you go through a game. So what about the main storyline? What about V? What about Johnny? We know the beginning. V's ambition, Johnny's second chance at life. But V now is less concerned with their legacy. Their mortality is what's at stake. V cannot survive with this engram in their system. Johnny can't survive without this new host. V is told that there is no hope, that ultimately this foreign entity would take over, removing their own existence, their soul, from this human husk. But there's some hope along the way. From Arasaka scientists, a rogue AI from beyond the Black Wall, and thanks to the Phantom Liberty DLC, NUSA doctors, there are some promises of salvation. Now, on your search for a solution, you meet all those fantastic companions. You encounter a slew of different events that shape the world around you. You meet other fixers as well, each guiding you to different ends. Some looking to take out some competition, some looking to make the world a little safer or more comfortable for others. But the most pressing storyline is that of you and Johnny. These two come to get a bit of an understanding of each other. Johnny comes to realize that his dreams of taking down Arasaka are muddied by the world around him. The world hasn't revolted against its corporate overlords. The true rocker boy movement is basically in the past. Seeing a vendor hawking old samurai merch, he realizes that people may see the corruption of the corpse, but are too comfortable with what they have to stand up to them. As a side note, thanks to this glorious video, how Phantom Liberty reboots Cyberpunk 2077 by the Sphere Hunter, cannot suggest watching both their Cyberpunk videos enough. She does some fantastic work. But thanks to that, I learned that Mike Pondsmith, the creator of the Cyberpunk RPG system, the main man behind the lore of this game, he viewed Johnny as a cyber psycho, a human corrupted by the mechanical augmentations they've taken on. Unlike other cyber psychos, Johnny's relationship with his gun really got to another level. He imprinted so much on the Malorian pistol that it inspired a desire for murder from anyone who picked it up. This bloodlust and his hatred of the corpse corrupting the world drove him to such extremes that nuking Arasaka Tower was the only move left to him. A move that Johnny in this game sees has had little effect, if any, at all. 50 years later, his companions have moved on without him. Carrie reaching commercial fame and success, Rogue becoming the head of the afterlife, and potentially even taking corpo money to make that reality happen. Even worse than that, Arasaka has an even stronger hold on the city he attempted to kick them out of. If his noble sacrifice didn't amount to anything, what could? What was the actual legacy he left behind? And could he change that? V is having some realizations as well. Their life chasing this legend status. What was it for? Was it for a comfortable life at the end of things, or was it fame for fame's sake? Who doesn't want a memorable legacy left behind? If we live our life and have nothing to show at the end of it, what's the point? And for V, my V, I remember feeling early on that her desired legacy was wealth and infamy, doing what only she could do as a merc, taking the craziest jobs, The kind that are told not in whispers, but discussed loudly across the city. The kind that inspires others to take on some softer jobs, because how could they ever compare? But as she sees the struggle that Johnny is going through and feels it in their shared life, she realizes that in the face of the corrupt world around her, that status may just be a pipe dream. Johnny, who only 50 years ago staged an incredible siege on the tower of the biggest corp in the city, but now, who really remembers him? This revolutionary act didn't significantly move the needle. There are people who don't even know his exploits outside of Samurai, and those who do basically just know him as the terrorist who died barely putting a scratch in the armor of Arasaka. So if the true legend status was almost a lie, what was real to V? Well, Jackie was. His love of Misty and Mama Wells sure as hell was. I mean, so are V's feelings to their new friends and romantic partner. I mean, for my V, towards the end of the game, what was real was the hope of a life past Night City. A life she could live in some peace. Didn't matter that it would likely end in her death due to the relic in her system. She would be able to live in peace with Judy and maybe even the Aldecaldos. These realizations come through in the game, but not explicitly. On the surface, there is just a push to live, both for you and Johnny, but I can't help but want to pull some extra subtext out. And it was clear as day to me that the push to live wasn't the only thing on both V and Johnny's minds. What were they going to live for? And why? How would life change for them? What would their days consist of? Keep in mind, I tried to do everything in the game. I'm that kind of player. I love exploring and learning about the world in front of me. You know, as a major example, I found the burial site for Johnny's body. And when I did, we had a heartfelt conversation. He had turned and softened when it came to our relationship. And it genuinely felt like we had come to an understanding. V's body belonged to V. Al Cunningham, now an AI, but formerly a woman Johnny truly loved, had given us hope that not only could she save V, but Johnny, who exists almost as an AI, would live on with Alt beyond the Black Wall. This was the only path forward. We would have to storm onto Arasaka turf once again, and there we could both find our path to peace. We as players are given a few options at the end. Storm that tower on our own, seeking to connect with Alt, call in Rogue for help, enlist the Aldecaldos, or even give up hope and end it all before you even try. There's another ending where you can storm it not alone, but with Johnny riding shotgun with you. For my V, she doesn't want to put her new friends and family on the line, but the Aldecaldos really made the most sense. From their background, their knowledge, and especially that Basilisk tank which we pilfered together, that could give us a huge advantage to breaking in. So I call Panem, and the siege begins. There are some losses. There is revenge for Johnny in taking down the fearsome Adam Smasher, who took him down 50 years ago.
Gotcha. Silverhand triumphs.
And then finally, there's Mikoshi. The hardware we need to contact Alt and finally separate Johnny from V, but then...
We're done. You kept your word.
There is one aspect I failed to take into account.
Alt? What?
The body is a key factor in this transaction. DNA reconfiguration by the relic has progressed too far. Added to aggressive, invasive medications, the body's immune system attacking its own neurons.
Christ, will you just skip to the end?
After I transfer your construct into your body, you will die. It is inevitable. It is imminent.
No. No way. That was not our deal.
You shall live for about 6 months. Perhaps somewhat more.
No. There's gotta be something we haven't thought of.
Your body will see you as an intruder.
But it's my body.
The biochip's nanites have altered it permanently. The body is now Johnny.
Alt, give us a minute. V and I need to talk.
Well, that sucks. So now here we are in cyberspace, and all that's left is deciding who inherits the body. Johnny can be sustained, but V would only have 6 months. Alt, this transcendent entity, formerly human but now AI. They know that there is a logical option here. You can have 6 months, or Johnny can live out the rest of the life that our body should have. So reading into this, as I do, if the blaze of glory or quiet life question was only made because I knew this was a final choice a player would make, I might be a little angry. Like hyperbole, of course, but really, it could be interpreted that the blaze of glory or quiet life question could come down to what does this body get to do? That would be upsetting, given all the connections I have made along the way. Lucky for me, I do love some subtext, and I am also someone who heavily believes in the subjectivity of art, and how multiple interpretations are allowed to be right. We all take our previous life experience into how we see the world, and when it comes to art, any opinion has the opportunity to be valid. Now, obviously there are wrong ways to interpret things, but that's getting into a whole nother discussion that I think we do not have time for, so I chose to live out the remaining 6 months, and asked Johnny to carry on with Alt. I would escape, and follow the Aldecaldos out of Night City with Judy by my side. They even have a contact in Arizona who they want to put V in touch with, as they might be able to figure out a way to keep her alive. V ends this game riding on the Basilisk, looking out over the horizon at the future in front of her. Credits roll, and there are some beautiful messages that play out from all the characters I met along the way. It's hopeful, and it shows the impact I had on their lives. It is somber, to be sure, with the death sentence looming, but it feels right to me. It feels right because this was my choice. And I'll be honest, I feel like it's the only choice I ever want to make in any playthrough. There are times in games where you get an ending so beautiful, so right, that you don't want to disturb the characters you spent that time with. CD Projekt Red already gave me that with Witcher 3 after the Blood and Wine DLC. I know I was using it as an example before, but it was truly magnificent. Now, Undertale is another great example of this, explicitly telling you that you gave the characters a happy ending, and to start over again, you're robbing them of that happiness. Now, I don't want to knock the other endings in Cyberpunk 2077, but damn, CD Projekt Red, this one felt right. And all because it stemmed from the understanding Johnny and V had. And V's life being cut short didn't change that for me. If anything, it made the choice more meaningful. Sure, it was only going to be half a year, but think about what happened in the, let's say, weeks of the game. V met Judy, a woman who made her feel insanely strongly for her, like the way she imagined Jackie felt about Misty. She met Panem and the Aldecaldos, who took her in as one of their own, a family the likes she had only felt from Jackie and Mama Wells. Now, Vic gave her some of the best augments she could imagine. So there may be another good doc out there who could do something for her, right? Just over a few days, Carrie almost single-handedly showed her that wealth and fame were shallow without a purpose and driving ethos. River showed her that there were still people out there who had true morals and strength of character, so if she gave that up now, if Johnny were to walk out of Mikoshi in her body, V forever gone, behind the black wall, what would they be left with? I mean, sure, the physical form would carry on longer with him in it, but Johnny wasn't the one who impacted all these lives. We were. What would their sacrifices mean if you didn't come back, but somebody else in your skin? This is one of the major ways the blaze of glory or quiet life choice is such a damned lie. And what is so beautiful about that? You spent an entire game defying the odds. You left a glorious blaze of inspiration on so many of these characters, and all in the quest of being able to live your life as quietly or as loudly as you choose. Deschamps was too short-sighted or single-mindedly focused on his growing cred to even realize that there was more to life than these two options. And it's not just this ending that drives it home for me. Take the Arasaka ending option. You can go to the Corp hat in hand and ask for them to fix you. They take you off, extract Johnny, and it leaves you broken, unable to even comprehend how to handle a 2x2 puzzle cube. Only to tell you that the operation didn't go so hot, and you have 6 months to live. You can then choose to become an engram like Johnny was until they find you a suitable body to take over, property of Arasaka, or you can be dropped off to live out the remainder of your life. Or what about the ending Phantom Liberty gave us, where Solomon Reed says he's going to get you the best and brightest docs in the NUSA. You ride off with him, and 2 years later come out of a coma. For 2 years, you have been absent, and no one knows what happened to you. You learn that your body can no longer handle any cyberware, a key component to your life up to this point. You demand to return to Night City, to the life you had, but find that everyone had continued living their lives, thinking you were gone. Some have left Night City, others have found their purpose without you. And you were so depleted of the strengths you had before, both physically and emotionally, that all that's left for you is to find a new path. Starting from nothing, with even fewer options than you had at the start of the game. Honestly, I think V might have chosen death over this. Sad though it is, I do think it's actually a fantastic ending in its own way too. By simply trusting the word of Reed, not keeping the newfound family and friends informed on what her plan was, V left them with so much uncertainty. They couldn't just hold on to memories, halting their lives waiting for word from V, nor should they. Some can forgive, others can't. But that's life. And not just in NC, but our world too. V learns another lesson and still has a chance to build her life back, but this time with a newfound respect for the importance of community. It's a beautiful flip of the ending where you choose to let Johnny live on in your body. Where Johnny spends a few months just living peacefully. Your friend's distant from him, so he really doesn't have anyone around, save for one teen he's been teaching guitar. Johnny finally decides to leave Night City, happy to be alive for sure, but living with remorse for what was lost. Living with the regret that V had to give themselves up, leaving all they had loved behind. In a completely different take, let's say you choose to raid Mikoshi on your own, finally living that legendary status that is so lauded. Well, play your cards right and you get that. It plays out similarly. You get to Mikoshi, you meet Alt and are forced to choose who takes a body. If you do, you decide that you are going to make the biggest waves with the time you have left. You get a beautiful penthouse apartment and are hired to go on a heist of the famed Crystal Palace Casino in space. It is pretty badass. Except, what about your companions? Yeah. Well, if you're in a relationship with Panam or Judy, they end things. Night City is no longer for them. That was clear in the game. Now, if you're with River and Carrie, they do stay in Night City, and while you're still in a relationship with them, their messages seem distant, as though you are distant. Your desire for fame and notoriety have put distance between you and these people who should be close to you, just like Songbird did in her aim to be a top-tier hacker. So if you really are in it just for the glory and infamy, that's fine, but this is how you get it. There is one other ending. One I will never choose after watching the credit sequence for it. I mentioned before that the credits show a bunch of video messages from some major NPCs, and if you choose the ending where you decide it's all too much, you get messages like these.
In the end, it was your choice. Your choice to make. But, well, you should know it didn't just affect you. It hit your friends, too.
Sophie, how's the real afterlife looking? It as nice as they say. 'Cause down here, it's still shit. Hell, might even be worse than before.
What were you thinking, huh? Or did you think about nothing at all? Is that it? And after everything I did for you, everything! And what's the first thing you go do, huh? Off yourself, that's what.
The only thing you proved is that you don't give a fuck about your friends. Am I right? What a fucking waste.
But still, V. Did you even think about, what happens when... Shit, I can't do this.
They don't pull any punches there. So what's the lesson here? To me, it's simple. Ambition for ambition's sake is a destructive force. If all you care about is making a huge impact, well, to me the game uses these quests and endings to show that survival, glory, they are pointless without having a goal or purpose behind them. Life is only worth living if we can share that experience, be it with found family, friends, community, whoever. All the money in the world with no love or higher purpose can be just as empty as ending it all. We are defined by our choices and actions, but the true depth of those are only known by those we really let into our lives. And just as important, our expectations for what we really want can change. V wanted a notable life and thought they knew what that took, but learned it meant more to make some special bonds. Like-minded people, looking to make a better life. It wasn't until until I really understood the foolishness of Deshawn's question, that their life really took true meaning and worth. Together we learned that a truly quiet life of worth was only achievable by specific acts of blazing glory. Now, it was a lot to be shared. Frankly, more than I had intended. It's because I found so many ways to interpret this greater question, both in-game and out. In-game, we just spent a good amount of time on, but out-of-game, I think the dev team was faced with ambition being a crippling force at launch. Possibly marketing-driven, but they did rebound, refocusing, and giving us a beautiful project overall. I think as consumers, we were faced with the fact that our demands for fast, revolutionary pieces of media will often only lead to disappointment. And how disappointment can sometimes bring out the worst in us. We also should reflect on what it is that makes these pieces of media so meaningful to us, and by proxy, what makes life meaningful to us as well. Do I think that CD Projekt Red planned on these being takeaways from this game? Probably not, considering some of them came at the expense of getting death threats. I mean, at least not all of them. I do think they intended for the Blaze of Glory or the Quiet Life to be an important theme, but it is more depth than I think was intended, even as a bait and switch. Now, I hope I have shown that the question is subjective and can be taken in a few ways, each of which has value. You can take it literally, take it as a question of goals or morals, take it as an abstract for your place in the world. Take it however you will, because it is one of those questions that to me is core to deep and influential art. Art should be beautiful, filling us with emotion and introspection. Art should challenge us, expose ourselves to a new way to view the world around us and our place in it. Art should be inspirational. And this example, this beautiful game, so deeply flawed, just like that question, it's what inspired me to make this video. I love this game and thank CD Projekt Red because inspiration is so very valuable. It is what makes us take those steps towards the blazes of glory that will lead us to a truly fulfilling, quiet life.
I don't hear anything about it right now. Take down all of this is shaded somehow. It's not me. So fade a little off in the wind. Make it up, break it up. Finding it's the hardest to be.
Well, it's perfect. All great, Panam. We're going home.